Brony Geeks proudly presents Hawkeye Finale. Warning: the following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Brony Geeks makes no claim to ownership of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised. Hey guys, swing on by that Facebook group, 1,400 members strong. Be sure to hit that join group button. Follow those questions and join one of the most inclusive groups on Facebook. And hop on over to the YouTube. Hit that beautiful red subscribe button. It's greatly appreciated. We're on our quest for 200, 34 members away. Let's try and make that a goal for the next coming month or so. And be sure to listen to us on any of the audio-only version of this from anchor.fm/BronyGeeks. Without further ado, Marvel's Hawkeye, and with all things Marvel. Hawk, I'm stuck in a tree. Will Parker, the man, the myth, the Marvel. How we doing?
Oh, I'm great. I'm fucking great. It's been a good week.
Yep, it's first recording since Christmas. We got full bellies, full hearts, hearts full of cheer. Everyone's getting over the holiday colds. It's just a fantastic time of the year. I'm Kingpin on vacay. Brent just running host. Before we get too far in the show, guys, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop your comments in, as me and Will will be pretty short and succinct with most of our points, because even with Marvel, we're still pretty much on a good time limit, even though Will has a vast knowledge of all things Marvel. And Will, give us your quick little snapshot for the concluding episode of what a short series Hawkeye really was.
I think it was a good conclusion. So at that, it wrapped up, all their, the primary loose ends. So at that, they were cast out in the show. So at that, a lot of stuff got wrapped up. Some stuff wasn't as it seems. And so at that, it gave Kate a lot of time to shine. And so at that, because this essentially is Hawkeye the series, but again, it's a transition of Hawkeye to Kate Bishop. So we get a lot of understanding of how the transition is happening and so at that, and how she's going to start doing more of the legwork and stuff in terms of the Hawkeye moniker. So
yeah, I feel like this was a really, really good send-off. I'm sure we're not done with Hawkeye by any stretch of the imagination. There's going to be a lot more of a mentorship role, so it'll be more sidelined than anything. But I feel like this was also an excellent way of saying goodbye to Natasha. I feel like in a way we properly addressed her death in a way that her own movie, well, how early it was on in the Marvel timeline, this is a proper way of establishing what happened to her. Because we saw everything that happened to Tony. He got his funeral. And that was one of the heaviest scenes in the entire movie. Like, a lot of people were crying in the theater when I went and saw it. Which, I know, like 15 some odd years in the making. And then Natasha was just kind of like, she also died too, but, I digress. We're going to keep moving. Hawkeye did a very good job of letting that happen, and then acknowledging the other things that have been going on in New York with characters such as Kingpin, which I can't say enough how excited I am to finally have a character that powerful introduced into the Marvel lore officially. Because we had Daredevil, but we never really knew if they were 100% timeline specific. For those of you who don't know, can you fill us in a little bit on Kingpin and how he fits in with everything that's going on?
So you got to remember, Kingpin is the Kingpin of New York. So that most of the organized crime and so that went through Kingpin. So with everything that was going on in the Daredevil series, if you're watching so that, he's running the show behind all the, the big gangs and stuff like that were doing everything with the Hand and such, and so on. Now the thing is about transitioning here, we already saw a few things and stuff like that with just screenshots with that him still being in somewhat of a control, but specifically, how was Kingpin affected during the course of these things? We know how Hawkeye was affected, how he became Ronin and stuff like that, and when he became Ronin, he went on a murderous rampage and took out a whole bunch of guys. Now you got to remember, during that time, a lot of people who were already there got blipped. So think about Kingpin's organization. Who from his organization got blipped? Who were his boys in charge? They got freaking blipped, and then who did freaking Ronin go and take out and kill? So that Kingpin suffered probably a huge loss of power here, so that, and now has to regain that. So the Kingpin that we're getting now and stuff like that is, him trying to get back to the top and trying to, eliminate. And that's why we see it's him, and he's more upfront and personal right now, handling some things because he doesn't have those bunch of guys that he used to have. So that they were taken out, blipped, killed, or whatever the case may be. And if some came back and stuff like that, who knows if they were even the same people and stuff like that. Like, did they still want to do crime stuff or whatever, or did they have to get eliminated? Like, what's going on? So it's a lot of questions and stuff to be answered and stuff like that. But we got a good look at the new Kingpin and how he's going to go forth from this point on.
Yeah, having Kingpin and like the Wish version of Jon Snow, like I couldn't like that character. I just really couldn't. He just felt like a cheap version of a character. I already knew, but he was just like he was a great interpreter from Maya. Maya was a well written character, well established character. They did such things. I'm like, I'm supposed to root against her actively, but I understand why she did what she did, why she went about things the way she did, and why her character erred in the way that she did her things. Because isn't Maya a huge character within the MCU already, comic wise, and is supposedly in the works for her own spin off TV show?
Now she is in the works for her own TV show and so that things about Echo and stuff like that. Um, Again, I don't know how they're going to do it with the MCU, so I'm not going to speculate too much on that. But she's a big part for actually being a character who had a troubled life and stuff like that. Which again, characters with personal problems and stuff like that do sell and stuff like that very well because people can relate to these characters and stuff like that. But throughout the show, we see her struggling with the death of her father and all the stuff in her relationship to Kingpin. So that same thing, and you got to remember those last scenes and stuff like that of her with Kingpin are the same thing straight out the comic and stuff like that. Like that was ripped straight out the comic and stuff like that. Only thing missing was, the handprint and stuff like that. But this is setting up for her to be a hero in her own right and stuff like that. And again, forming some type of, Young Avengers, freaking Champions, freaking Squad, something to affect New Avengers, West Coast Avengers. Like, there's so many different ways that they can run this. So that it's kind of a wait and see. But Echo is definitely a very interesting character, and they wrote her very well for her setup.
And then I really liked Florence Pugh, her interaction with Jeremy Renner throughout the
Oh,
series. I think they had some really, really good, deep moments. Her interactions with Kate Bishop, just the way she says her name in of itself, you're like, I like this interaction. This makes sense. These characters are very true to who they are, and they're just having a good, almost sisterly relationship. Like they're just distant sisters. They're meeting for the first time, obviously for obvious reasons. But like they are interacting as the way sisters do. Is like I'm really trying not to like you, but I just am. It's like I know it's hard. It's like Florence Pugh, stop being such a relatable person.
it's she's always been fun and stuff like that. I think with her character, so that she's always just made it so nonchalant and just made it feel good. She's so grounded and stuff like that. Just things like this cool vest and stuff like that. I love macaroni, hot sauce, and like just little stuff just makes her
like
grounded.
she's
So that
excited
it's
because her
like
character has pockets.
yeah, she's a fun character and stuff like that. She's a murderous assassin, but she's a blast to hang out with. It's like,
That's
come
the
on,
kind
I
of
love
person
it.
you want to go party with. You're like, I would go have a couple drinks with her. I'm not expecting the night to go well, but I'm gonna go have a couple drinks, just like see what kind of chaos she gets involved with. But like
So
at the same time, I thought this was a very, very good series. I was just kind of confused at a certain point, and I'm gonna need some clarification on it. Like Hawkeye knew what it would take to ground Florence Pugh to the point she wouldn't kill him, even though it seemed like he wanted to die. At a certain point, he just did the whistle. If you knew the whistle, you knew what it was and what it meant to Natasha, why'd you hold out so long? Can you was it just dramatic effect or the way it was written, or do you just think that
I
that's true
want
to
to
character?
I want to chalk it up for it to a little bit of dramatic effect and stuff like that. Hawkeye does feel guilty though, stuff about Natasha's death and stuff like that. He made the choice that it was going to be him to go, and she stopped him, and they fought for it. Like we watched them fight for it, so like that, and they didn't pull. anything from each other. So that, but it got to a point to where he knew that she had him beat, and freaking she took the plunge, and he has to live with that. He has to live with that hurt. So at that, and she did it because she had no essential family to hang on to except for her sister. And so at that, of course, at the time we didn't know that. And so at that, I mean, I knew, but it's like we didn't know per the MCU timeline, so that she had anybody. She was always a loner. So it made, again, dramatic effect. So at that, but again, when you go to get the movie as a prequel and so at that, and we get it after the fact, you take a little bit of the oomph out of the moment that happened and stuff like that, but the timeline sets up for something greater. So sometimes you got to do that. So the same thing with Hawkeye, so that it's setting up for something more. So we get a little bit of a dramatic effect and stuff like that with it, but he had to explain those things and stuff like that. He had to let her know what was going on and stuff like that, and all the pieces before he gave the whistle. So again, I think it was dramatic effect and stuff like that for part of it, so like that, but he needed to explain. He needed to get stuff off his chest and so like that. And she's the only one who would
Understand the
understand.
emotional impact of that. Okay, so you talked me through it. It explains it. I'm sure it might help some of you at home who are more casual viewers, like I am, who's not as deep into lore for obvious reasons. I haven't done the homework. I haven't done the studying. I'm not comically into anything related to Hawkeye or anything of that nature. But also, as far as the series goes, how do you rank this comparatively to other shows Marvel has dropped on its Disney Plus platform? Like, is this like one of the top three contenders, or do you have like a particular order? I know all of them have been good, but if we had to do like a solid rank them of like how you felt about the series.
Honestly, I think this was one of my favorite series. So like that. Again, I'm a guy who I like the grounded heroes and stuff like that. I like the fact that they have to go through a whole lot more than the superpowered heroes and stuff like that, as far as to keep up and stuff like that. Because you imagine they got Hawkeye and Captain America running together to fight bad guys and stuff like that. Like, yeah, Hawkeye's got to do a bit more work and stuff like that to hang with Captain America and stuff like that, as opposed to freaking Thor or Iron Man, who has the help of a suit and stuff like that. So it's a little bit freaking different. I think that Hawkeye would definitely rate up there in the top two for me. So that, as far as shows go, like that.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier probably at the top, since
Yeah, I
based upon
think.
the grounded hero conversation.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. So at that, and I'd probably put Loki as my three. So at that, and just kind of rock it out from there.
Because I got Loki right now as my number one because I came in with such minimal expectations, so for them to lay out such a strong everything with that series from top to bottom, it even made me like Owen Wilson. I don't even like Owen Wilson, but I like the character that he portrayed, so I'm like, I'm okay with this. It's a very, very good series. WandaVision is probably about my third. I will say though, Falcon Winter Soldier is probably number two. It delved into some really, really deep conversations that needed to be had in a Marvel cinematic setting, and it had a lot of deep conversations that would impact a lot of people, and I like that they actually took the time to address it. Marvel's very, very grounded in their product, and they know who most of their base is and how to discuss most things with them. That being said, Hawkeye's it's definitely up there. It's not a bad show at all. I just felt it dragged at certain times, or it was like it needed to be sped up. But I understand where you're coming from, where you want it to be. You want all the groundwork laid properly, and this show took time to make sure all the groundwork was there. It's just for me, it just wasn't a top three show, but this is excellent television nonetheless. No one's going to be like, "Oh my gosh, this was such terrible. Marvel needs to stop what they're doing."
Oh yeah,
No, this
it's
is good
definitely
stuff.
great. And stuff like that. Like you gotta put things in perspective and stuff like that for you yourself. Nobody's gonna like the same things exactly the same way and stuff like that. And there's never gonna be a general consensus. So like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever and stuff like that. No, there's always gonna be somebody somewhere who doesn't care for something. So like that. But again, I think that Marvel's done a fantastic job putting these shows together and stuff like that, and setting up for these characters and how they're tying into everything within the cinematic part of it, so like that. So it's really getting in. So definitely, if you haven't seen No Way Home yet, You need to go watch No Way Home.
Hell, just the first 15 minutes will answer so many things of why we're pushing to go see that movie. But we'll get there when we get there. This is one of like maybe 2 or 3 more videos Grinding Geeks will be doing before the new year. We have this show dropping, Witcher will be in a couple days from that, and then you best believe the minute Book of Boba Fett drops, I don't care if I'm doing a solo vid, I'm getting that recorded the minute it drops, just because of the way I am about the Star Wars universe and the fact I have time off during it. Absolutely fantastic. But again, Hawkeye, fantastic show. Really loved it. Thanks for giving me a lot more perspective on it, Will. Do you have anything else we really need to address about Hawkeye before we transition out?
I mean, freaking, hey, I mean, I don't know if Rona's going to make another appearance in a different form or, you know what, but it's a possibility. So that freaking, if you know anything about Echo, so I'll leave it at that.
All right. Grown Geeks, you know what to do.